إن الحجاب فريضة من ربنا المنان يا أختنا بالله لا يغويك ذا الشيطان.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to our show Sister to Sister, where we discuss issues surrounding women. Today's topic is self-development, and my name is Efat Omar. On our right today we have a psychologist.
Nira Hassan, counseling psychologist.
Yes, and to the left.
Nadira Abdurrahman. I study Islam and I also teach it.
So a psychologist and a teacher about self-development. So, like, let's start from an early age, yeah? As in tukiwa watoto, as women, as girls growing up, you know, we are brought up with the idea that we have to feel a specific cadre, like we have to be in a specific way, how we walk, how we talk, how we even play. Yeah, I don't know. Have you ever experienced that? Like for us, ukikamba, mwanamke akai hivyo, ufusika hivyo, like if you mess up, no, kitungue yungue, kitungu before you add anything else, it's like even though unaenda kupika kwako, you know, those kind of things that happen. So is that where our self-development comes from? Like, is that how we're supposed to be? Do we discover that we should do it differently when we grow up?
Actually, yes. As a child, when somebody is born, they follow the footsteps. They listen to the words they're being told. So you come as an empty child, you have no idea. Then the world comes in, the people surrounding you, and they'll be telling you how to behave, how to do things. And then you also have your inner nature, the nature where Allah has given you, the way you're supposed to be, the way you crave to do things. Yeah. So being brought up and being told kitungui singue, sit in a right manner.
Me, I used to have an issue because why would my brother be told, as in would not be told, he can be as comfortable as he wants. See, we're almost the same age. We're all toddlers. I mean, we're all going to kindergarten, but I have to be conscious of myself all the time. I'm barely 5 years old, you know? And then, I don't know, me, I just feel like
And
it's sometimes
have you
too
noticed
much.
there's this big statement that is usually used that girls mature faster than boys? And I feel like now when we trace it back, we realize it's that due to the amount of focus and emphasis and training a girl experiences from a young age. So from a young age, she's supposed to carry yourself like this, you're supposed to think this way, you're carrying the family name, if you do anything, you're going to turn. So there's so many responsibilities placed on her from a young age that she is not out of choice, but she is forced to actually mature from a young age. So even this whole thing of girls mature, and I'm not saying necessarily it's bad, but it kind of indicates that the girl doesn't fully experience her childhood the way that
A boy child would normally
child,
experience
yes.
it.
Because from the time she comes into this world, she already has responsibilities placed on her. She's being prepared again for a bigger responsibility, and she kind of loses in touch with the enjoyment side of this world. And then due to that, obviously a person is going to mature faster and everything. So the community and the environment that a girl is exposed to, or the one that she is offered, is not necessarily one that allows her to actually be a child.
Yeah, so like when you were saying about the development starting from a child because of what we're told, I remember when I was how old was I? Maybe like 5, 6 max. So in our estate, not everyone had a bike. Unajua, bike ni watu fulani, and then you go in turns. So my best friend, the parents bought her a new bike, so she decided to give me her bike. So now I was amongst wale una dictate who rides the bike. You know, you become the boss. Yeah. But I also had a younger brother. So when the bike was brought home, and I was so excited, I was like, now I have a bike and all that, I went and I was like, you know what? So you are a girl and there are some things you need to not, get into so much. So what we're going to do is, bike yako, we're going to give it to your brother. Yeah, you don't need it. Okay, it's not a matter of need, you know. You're a child. Your friend gives you this, and now, funny enough, the friend who gave me was also a girl. So it didn't make sense to me at the time. Why can't I own this bike? Because I'm a girl. So now, isn't that counterproductive to self-development? As in, unanikatia nusu what I'm supposed to to experience as a child. I mean, what is so wrong with a 6-year-old girl owning a bike?
Exactly. And having even friends, going out, you know. Maybe sometimes you'll find that maybe the parents are too religious and they come in and start practicing the hijab at a young age. However, it's not appropriate. You'll find that the child will start hating the hijab from that point. They've not explored the beauty. They've not explored and saw the importance of it. And this becomes counterproductive, not allowing the child to do whatever they wish. At a later age, it will come back. And they'll be like, I want to explore. I want to do that.
Yes or no? I don't know. What do you think? Me, no, yes and no. Because me, I don't remember not having a hijab. Like, I'm not being negative to what I just said about the bike, but Miss Kumuki going out without a hijab. In fact, I would be uncomfortable going out with that. That's really our Toto, the one that is attached. Like, ever since I was in nursery, and I went to a government school in primary as well. I have so many stories. And in class 2, my teacher claimed that I cannot hear the teacher speaking because I'm wearing a hijab. So they were hell-bent on removing my hijab. And nimekata. I'm like, I can't. I went to nursery with this thing. And I didn't, yes, you're right. I didn't fully understand it. But it had become part of me at that point. So there was no way somebody is going to come and tell me to toa hijab because you can't hear. It was such a big deal. My parents were brought in, like, thank God my parents were very supportive of my stand, and they're like, it's either we take our child to a different school or she puts on the hijab. This is a baseless argument and stuff like that. Yeah, so
it all goes back to how this child was exposed the hijab to, how it was explained to, how they were made to perceive it. If it just came from the person, you're going to the hellfire, put it on, yo. It creates that fear in the child. It just makes it feel like they are restricted. There's so many rules. But however, if it's set through an example, or you're told Allah loves it, and you're just like, this is going to earn you. You know how they have that stars, extra stars,
you get extra
so it's going to earn you extra from a young age. For me personally, it's opposite to you. I can count the amount of times I remember wearing the hijab as a child, and that was only when I'm going to madrasa. I remember the amount of times I would find myself midway to madrasa and I'm like, I forgot my skirt and my hijab, and then I go back home. So kinda I had when I wear it, when I not wear it, and then as I was growing up now, 13 years old, 14 years old is where I started wearing it full time, and I didn't completely understand it, but I kinda had an idea that this is part of my identity and this is part. So it all goes back to how this girl is exposed to, and where did we start this conversation from?
Self-development.
Development mtoto akiwa mdogo.
Oh yeah.
So how you brought up, so inakuja tu bado
yes, so it goes back to how this girl is introduced to these matters, where you don't make it feel like it's a responsibility as a 7-year-old, as an 8-year-old, this is a responsibility upon you. And then another thing we talked about how parents are very overprotective of their little girls, and we can kind of understand where that might be coming from. This is not the safest world for girls, for little girls especially. There's so many we've heard of stories of disappearance, kidnapping, and most of the time the victims to this are little girls. So kind of the overprotectiveness as to why you cannot sleep over at your friend's house, why you cannot just go out at that specific time. It comes mainly from a place of overprotectiveness and not necessary to restrict you, but at that age you might not understand it, again because of how the parents explain and expose this to. So the parents don't feel like they have to explain things to the kid. You're my child, you need to listen, I'm commanding you.
Because I said so.
Yes. So as girls, because we're not getting any explanations, we're being
told do this.
And
even the boys don't get explanations.
Yeah. Even the boys don't get explanations.
They also told,
but the thing is, the boys
from a young age, which man is he?
And then the boys might not understand, because at that point it might not seem as much of restrictness because they get to experience the childhood things. But also they do have but there's more focus on the girl and no explanations.
Exactly. Now as adults, this upbringings that we have, how is that like imetueffect aje kama watu wazima sasa hivi, like how we have developed ourselves? Has it come from that? Has that to me, I can say it has played a part, because from your experience I had when I was in class 2 that I could stand for myself and I had the support of my parents, it allowed me now today, while I'm becoming this woman, this lady that I am becoming today, I can say I can stand up for myself. I can stand up for what I believe. I can stand up for this. So as much as, you know, we might not necessarily be fond of their ways, I think ni kama hizo ways zime contribute to the people that we have become today in a positive way as well, isn't it?
Exactly.
So now with that, let's take a short break and then we'll be back.
Every day, you wake up to work hard for a better life for your family. You give your all to grow your business and your income. The sad part is that someone else is working as hard to steal from you. But don't you worry. As Eastream East Africa, we're here for you and your assets. We passionately provide efficient and complete security solutions such as access control, asset tagging and tracking, biometric security such as face recognition and related solutions, CCTV systems, both new installation and maintenance of any brand of existing systems. With our expertise and experience spanning over 10 years, we can confidently say that safety and security don't just happen. It's the result of hard work and investment. We do that for you with a smile. Contact us today on 0772 404 000 or email us on info@eastream.co.ke. For a customized solution, visit our website www.eastream.co.ke. For a full array of other solutions that we provide at Eastream, our second name is Excellent Service.
Welcome back to a show where we're talking about self-development amongst the women. So, pale tuko tumeachia, we can pick it up and talk about now as adults. Is self-development in our careers, as in, is there like the roadmap? Kuna hiccups tulipata, kuna hiccup maybe iyo support ya family, or is it when you talk about self-development, ini juu yako peke yako? Is it an independent venture? I don't know.
Self-development is basically, if I keep it short, working on yourself. This is not somebody else coming and helping you work on it. It's you taking that initiative.
Yeah.
I'm going to develop myself. I want in 5 years' time or in 10 years' time, I want to be this particular person. So you're working on that journey of who you want to be. In that
So
that
it can
time.
be in all genres. It can be your career, it can be your social life. It can,
Exactly.
as long as you're just taking those strides to become something
Exactly.
else.
There's no self-development of only a particular thing, because the self constitutes of a lot of things. One is spiritually, socially, individually, psychologically, economically.
Hiyo yote.
You have to look at all those aspects. Where do I want to be in this particular field? Do I want to be closer to Allah? In which particular manner? And then you go to financially. After some years, I want to be in this particular position
in my career.
Exactly, in my career. Psychologically, I want to be somebody who is calmer and, who listens to other people, or who does this thing. That is basically what self-development is. It doesn't concentrate on only one place.
So it's like Aishi, it's never ending. Like
Yeah.
it's something that you're always doing it all the time. You're always doing. I said, is there something maybe in particular? Say, for example, let's talk about career. I think it's the safest. Maybe you might have. I don't know. Regarding with your career, developing it, she said it's something that tunafanya sisi wenyewe. But I wonder, doesn't the people around us, our family, have a role to play in this? Like itself, yes, but is it a one-man show?
Not particularly. As humans, we are just social beings, and we do rely on one another, and these experiences that we use for our self-development and growth are what we have gathered from our interactions with those around us, from what we have been taught, and what our families have done, and what particularly for me, the way I was raised has done for me was it set the morals and values for me. So it was already set, and it helped me with a lot, because now in our generation, when you go out there, you see people of all sorts of belief, and there's this now, too much freedom is what is being emphasized and encouraged.
Individualism,
so, individualism, and
independence,
being free in whatever you want to do, whatever you want to do. You want to do it this way, you want to do, it's all yours. So there's no those boundaries and limitations that have been set by Allah Azza wa Jal and by many things around us, the community. So what this has done for me is that I came into this in the career field where everyone do it however you want to do it, at the price of anyone. At the end of the day, do you, whatever it takes for you to go up that ladder, just do it. You have the freedom. But what is now, I came in this field that have these beliefs and promoting these beliefs, and I'm coming there with limitations and boundaries and morals and values and things that I will not be able to compromise just for success. And success is subjective. People do it, define it by wealth or anything, but I'm talking about the general success that society has defined. So now I know, yes, I want to be there, but at the price of what? My honor, my deen, all of this will always be above it. So what my background and how I was raised did for me is that it prepared me for the exposure and what I would fall into if I just came into this world without these limitations and without knowing my priorities and without knowing what I can
So they provide a roadmap
yes,
that allows you to develop yourself. Yeah, like, you know, the way you put it, like self-development is something that is continuous. It's something that we're doing on a daily basis. It doesn't have an end, and there's always something new you can discover. Like, there's an example. There's this time we were with a couple of sisters, and we were just discussing, like, how can someone be able to describe themselves, you know, like remove the roles and everything. That finding a way to know yourself and things like that.
Me talking about my own definition of who I am, I came to learn that there are aspects that I might have gotten wrong from those parameters. So it kept us like, so this self-icona, different ways of how we can do it. As it says, you know, you can decide to read a book, or, you know, like other things that we can actually do that will help us to become this person. When I say read a book, I'm not just talking about self-development books here, you know, talk about other people's lives, could talk, read about, you know.
Yeah, exploring, even through reading the books, you actually find your interest. There are certain books that you're going to enjoy so much, and other books that are just going to be dragging. And through the topics that and the books that you are enjoying, you will get to know what you're passionate about and what you particularly enjoy. So exploring through reading, through going to different events, as long as
meeting
they
different people,
meeting different people, having different conversation, asking them about what they do and their experience, those might give you ideas. And the only condition is that it does not oppose the Sharia, and it does not oppose Allah Azza wa Jal and the Deen of Islam. Other than that, you can explore. That's how, because we are all on a learning journey, and this self-development starts with self-awareness.
And one way you can learn about yourself, because self-development starts with you, learning who you are, what you like and what you dislike, what you want to do. One way you can learn is through journaling. Just sitting down today, writing what you've experienced, sitting, and then the emotions, what you've done. And then the next day, the same thing. After some time, read.
Yeah, I like that part. It's like
read what you've written.
You're traveling in time.
Exactly. When you travel in time, you're able to read as a third person. You know, this is somebody else who has written it. The you of yesterday has written it. So sitting down and reading that aspect gives you knowledge about yourself, and you'll be like, this particular character has this and this and this thing, and you'll know, where am I weak?
Yeah, what do I need to fix?
Exactly.
Things
because
like that.
Nadira has mentioned about the freedom part. Yes, you can be free, but there's always in life, there's limitations. And these limitations are not to limit you and to ground you. These limitations are to protect you. See?
That's why we have law, right?
Exactly. That's why we have law. If I have the freedom today, I could take this cup and do whatever I wish with you. Then I am violating your right.
Let's just put it here for security reasons. Continue.
That was just an example.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we're talking about the human mind.
So I have my limitations.
But then the thing comes, if there's limitations, and I don't want to go off the topic, but if there's limitations and rules and regulations to follow, are you really free?
I think so.
Yes,
I think so. You are,
you are.
because what would you define freedom? And if you're free, if you having
Isn't freedom to do whatever, whenever, however?
no,
No.
okay, freedom to me, I think it is the emancipation from need and want. That is basically being free. If you can be contented in simple terms with and feel secure with whatever that is around you and whoever is around you, you are a free person basically. So the limitations might even provide that freedom. Imagine, as she said, if she had the opportunity to just smash this cup on my head or something like that because she has the freedom to do whatever, wouldn't that be infringing to my freedom? Because now I don't feel safe.
And then freedom consists of like two. There's the freedom where the self has two sides. You have the bad side, the negative side, and the positive side. The positive side always leads you to good things. The negative one always leads you to bad. You have the freedom, the choice to listen to which side of yours that you want to do. And if you choose the negative one, it's up to you. There's consequences. There's nothing in life that doesn't have consequences.
And then bringing it back, like if you look at that, those same limitations are the same thing that are going to be able to allow us to like reel into being able to develop ourselves.
Exactly.
As well. Because now you have the parameters, you know what to do, you know how to do. You know, it's not just about the what. It's also about the what. Like you can read books, you can journal, you can travel back in time through your journals. You can, I think other thing that we also have to be paying attention to is why am I developing myself? I think that's something, if you're on the journey of developing yourself, it's a question you need to have answered and asked yourself from the beginning. Why am I doing it? What is my goal? Articulate it, write it. Like you said, 5 years from now, I want to have done 1, 2, 3. I want to become this person. Now with that, then you can do all the things that we've talked about. Another example we can use it is to remove yourself from your comfort zone. To get yourself out of that comfort zone and try and do something different that is going to allow you to attain that goal of becoming that developed self that you're trying to achieve.
Exactly.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Whenever sorry, you can go
Okay,
ahead.
who's going ahead?
Okay, just go ahead.
Okay. When you're developing yourself, it's not always that you set goals that you can see. That sometimes you'll set a goal that is very big and you'll be like, this one I must attain. And the journey, it's hard. And that's where, this journey I'm going to take part. I need to care about myself. I need to love myself. I need to evaluate myself. I need to always be critical and analyze myself. And you also need the other people. As you mentioned, the community is there. You need the support of other people, the people who will criticize you, the people who will love you, the people who will support you blindly however you are. All these
You have to
aspects
be able
you
to
need
tell.
to know. Yeah, you need to
The right way to
realize.
use them.
Yeah,
To
you need
use
to
them.
realize, how am I using it? Which perspective am I coming from? If I use the perspective, okay, somebody's criticizing me, I will use this and sit down and not reach my goal. What will happen to you? You start resenting yourself. You start hating yourself. You start feeling guilty. And most of the people who criticize are people who have hated themselves, who are not able to develop
Self-criticism.
themselves. Exactly.
Self-criticism.
So instead of criticizing themselves only, they start looking at other people's faults.
Yeah.
A very important aspect of self-development that helps us with the development, if utilized and used the right way, is the failures and the mistakes that we make. So it's not only the exploring and reading that help us find ourselves, rather it's also the mistakes and the failures, because next time I'm starting from a point of, now I know what not to do. Now I know what I do not like. A very a good example is how many people midway university, they realize this is not for me. And
Story of my life.
and then
Story
the
of our
way
lives,
the
actually.
community and the family react at that is, you're a failure, how could you do that? What they don't realize is actually one thing that person has attained through this is more awareness of who they are. So what the people see in that situation is how they failed to complete this task. But what we don't realize is that person has gained a very important thing, which is self-awareness. Now they know, let me cancel this aspect, let me cancel this field because I am not passionate about this field. So instead of focusing on what was not accomplished, we can focus on what was accomplished, what was gained, and use that for self-development, because the failures and mistakes are a very big part of our self-development.
No, and I totally agree, especially when now the community of around you might not necessarily see it, because that attaining the ability to understand yourself, it's not a visible success unless people spend time with you and they actually see the behavioral changes that you have and things like that, and the beauty of going on that self-awareness journey also allows you now to give back to the community, and by giving back to the community or pursuing these passions that you're talking about, in return it allows you to even further develop yourself. Like for example, where I work, we do a lot of community development work. So you get the opportunity to meet different people. So you get the opportunity, people bring challenges to you and they're saying, we have this problem, we have a water problem, we have a electricity problem, we have a school fee problem, but you get to understand their thinking. And from that, in itself, your ability to listen is developed in that essence. Your ability to become compassionate, you become an empath, whether you like it or not, in that way, and practicing what you've read itself can also help. Like Nadira, you teach, right? Like, so you've read it, now you're giving it to the rest of the world. Like, how does that then reciprocate back to you?
It first pushes me more to learn more, because in order for you cannot pour from an empty cup. In order for you to give that, you do more research, and that pushes you. Another thing is, it helps when you give back, it actually gives back more. So in class, they will ask you a question that you did not even think about. They'll connect a scenario that will force you to research back, and that again also adds to your self-development. So sometimes giving back is also actually some form of self-development, because that will be returned back to you. You will receive it in force, and that will be something that you can help in developing yourself more. So it pushes you, it gives you different perspective, and it actually contributes to
your overall growth,
your
your
social
overall growth,
skills and everything.
Yeah. Like also on that same point, you then come to the question of, this is self-development. I have, like she talked about, you having a full cup. So now we see you loving yourself. Is that also something we should be, paying attention to now? We are having self-love. We've read this, like, you have to love yourself, create a moment where you have some peace of mind with yourself. But where does it now become selfish?
I think, first of all, there's a difference between self-love, selfishness, and selflessness. Whereby self-love, particularly why I would emphasize personally, is even in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says you can't change the state of people unless you change the state of yourself. You start loving yourself, other people will start loving themselves. And with love, one particular thing is, when you start loving yourself, you start appreciating other people. And once you appreciate other people, then what society comes out of? That's part of selflessness. See? And then coming to selfishness, it's where you withhold every time. And selfishness doesn't come from self-love. It comes from a point of, as in like criticism from the self. You don't want to experience
the negative
this.
Of self-love.
Exactly. It's not negative
of
of self-love.
There's a way it can stem from self-love, because now the way self-love is pushed, it's pushed to an extent where the way it is represented, some are even very clear in saying that, where it is do what benefits you, even if that is at the expense of other people.
No.
So that is how self-love how selfishness can stem out of self-love, an overemphasized form of self-love, where it's like, what is selfishness in itself? It's too much love for yourself. It's too much wanting everything for yourself.
It's just all about you.
It's me. That's the root of selfishness. So when self-love is too pushed to a very extreme level, there is a way that it can
it can drive you
can
back
stem-
to,
it can,
to
yeah,
go
it can
to
lead and push to
selfishness and
selfishness.
things
I
like that.
particularly see this from a different angle. I see that when somebody is doing too much self-love, there's a need this person needs to fulfill from themselves. It's a need that they want to feel the love and belonging, and then they're not getting it.
Yeah.
And they're not getting it from people around them. So here comes in assertiveness. You are an assertive person, meaning that you can say no without hurting people. You see? And this is where, when you come to self-love and talk about about the self and developing yourself, you need to be assertive. You need to be assertive.
You need to be assertive.
You need to
be
able to say no without hurting people. You see?
Just as you can say yes
Just
to
as
those
you can
who would
say
like
yes.
to say that.
Exactly.
So, and on that note, on self-development, there's so much to talk about. There's the self-love, the selfishness, all this kind of discussions going on. But unfortunately, we have to call it a day. And thank you so much for tuning in. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.